This video for banana cream pie is part of the hashtag Thanksgiving Dishes collaboration. And check out that hashtag for ideas for your Thanksgiving dinner. This dessert is going to be perfect. You can make it ahead of time and just be stress-free because dessert can be very stressful sometimes. So I've had some history with banana cream pie. See, I tried this some time ago and the custard inside was so eggy, it was runny. The crust just didn't have that oomph that I was looking for. So I just gave it a rest, put it on the shelf. But here it is. This one works. And I'm happy to share it with you. So let's get started and make this banana cream pie. Let's start with the crust. Some flour, some baking powder, some salt, and once you mix that, some shortening. Then just start mixing this dough until it starts to crumble. You want the dough to be well hydrated with the shortening. Shortening helps to get a nice light crust. And you don't really have to knead the dough, but you do have to mix it with some water until it comes together. So touch it as little as you can to form it into a nice, almost smooth ball. And once you have that, just cover it up and just let it sit for at least 30 minutes. Now my oven has been heating at 375 Fahrenheit, so let's roll out that pastry. Now my pie dish is going to be about 9 inches in diameter, so you want to roll to about 11 to 12 inches so that you have enough overhang to fill that pie dish. And if you're wondering how thick or thin this has to be, a bit under 1/4 of an inch. So close to 1/8 of an inch so that it's thin enough so it's not too doughy or bready, but it's thick enough that it holds its own weight. You have to put some pressure as you roll it out and get a roughly circular shape. I am gonna spray the pie dish with some spray olive oil and then place the pastry that's been rolled out on top. You can just tear off or cut off the excess pastry. And then we need to blind bake this. And that's going to help ensure that we have a nice crispy base to put our cooled custard in later. Before you do that though, make sure that you prick some holes on the base that allows any air bubbles to not form and have a nice flat crust. What you're also going to need are some pie weights just to ensure the same thing. So you have a nice flat base for the custard. And if you don't have pie weights, don't worry about it. I didn't either. I don't bake that many pies. Maybe one day I will get it. But what you need instead of pie weights is some parchment on top. And then you can put some sort of bean in there, like kidney beans, navy beans, even chickpeas would work. And then pop this in the oven. And you want to now bake this until the sides start to turn golden brown. For my oven, that was closer to the 16-17 minute mark. Then you can remove the pie weights and then continue baking until it has cooked some more. You don't want there to be any soft spots, but you don't want it to be too hard either. Cook it just long enough until it's nice and golden, so it has the crisp, but it's not too hard if you overbake it. Now this needs to fully cool down, and that's the perfect time for you to now work on that custard. And for the custard, in my saucepan here, I'm adding in some milk, and then I'll be slicing and scraping off all these amazing seeds, essentially from this vanilla bean pod. Add the seeds in along with the scraped up pods, along with some cinnamon, some green cardamom that's been lightly crushed, and then comes in some saffron. A dozen or so strands would be just perfect. Give it all a good mix and then just bring this up to a steam. And once this has come up to a steam, it's nice and fragrant, just strain out those whole spices and then return the fragrant milk back into that saucepan. At this point, I'm going to add in some sugar and a pinch of salt to help highlight all these flavors we've added in here, because that's what salt helps to do. It helps accentuate the flavors inside of a dish. Give it all a good whisk and then add in some heavy cream in here as well. Just allow this to thicken slightly and then you can put that on the side for now. Let's look at the eggs. So the eggs go in a bowl that has some cornstarch in it, and you want to give it a thorough mix. And here's where you have to be very careful, be very gentle, but be quick at the same time. So we want to temper the eggs before we put the egg mixture inside that hot milk. So add roughly about a 1/4 cup of hot milk in your bowl of eggs and just start mixing. Don't ever stop mixing, and then add a total of about a cup into your egg mixture. This would help temper the egg. So now you can pour this egg mixture into your saucepan with the remaining fragrant milk mixture, and the custard process begins right now. Now the wrong thing to do as you bring this back up to a heat for that custard to form is to use a wooden spoon. Switch to a whisk instead and just keep moving it at all times and keep a close eye on how this is getting thick. And as you keep mixing, that cornstarch will help thicken everything up until you get something that's here, that's to this point. And this point for me was the point to stop giving it more heat. This is now ready to be cooled down, and then we'll transfer it to the pie. And as you get ready for that, slice up all your bananas. The pie crust is looking great. I wrapped it up because I am making this the next day, and then start layering the base of the pie crust with your bananas. Fill that up and then start pouring in your custard mixture. Spread that out, make it nice and even, and then just let this cool down overnight, or minimum about 6 to 8 hours. And then before you serve it, some more bananas on top, and then start topping it with whipped cream. That pie is so beautiful. It's like, I don't know, another childhood memory from Tom and Jerry. Those huge tables, that buffet, that feast of a table, like that's what this takes me back to. And I'm so happy I made something like this. I don't think I ever have. And I know this is going to be really good. Now, here's where you can go one of two ways. See, I like my custard quite soft, almost like falling apart as I slice into it, as I start eating it. But you can technically take this pie along with the whipped cream on top, or the stage before it, before the whipped cream topping, and then freeze this pie. That's going to help solidify that custard a bit more, so then when you slice it, you'll get a much cleaner slice. I don't want that. I want that soft custard, because that's just the mouthfeel that I'm looking for. And as I slice this, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That pie is looking super tasty. That crust is beautiful, flaky, a little salty. So it contrasts well with that soft, ooey gooey pie filling. If it was sweet on sweet, you won't get that contrast. You will get fatigued from the flavors really quickly. At least I do. And this pie is amazing. You can freeze anything extra to have more later on. I'll see you all on the next one.